Who's introducing this one?
I'll go with it.
Okay.
Okay, so on the back of conversations about can anybody get a black belt, and it comes down to standardization and what is a level, would it make sense for there to be a single governing body and a single grading structure that everybody had to achieve a level standard on? And we could standardize stuff and we know where we stand. So what do we think on the topic of a single UK governing body?
So I think we were talking about this earlier. We were saying I'm pretty sure someone told me, I can't remember who, that Germany has got one governing body. And I've talked to a few Germans and they all seem vaguely happy with it, but I can't see how it could possibly work, is the truth of the matter, in this country, because, well, I mean, we try and define karate in a previous chat at some point, and we realised that it's impossible to do because there's so many things.
Well, that's what my initial thought was when you made that statement, Bob. Karate is such a broad church, isn't it now?
Yes.
You know, you've got your sport. You'd have to, I don't know, you've got your governing body for your sports side, and then you'd have your governing body for your more practical side. You know, I think it'd be difficult for it to all be under one big umbrella, wouldn't it? I think.
Yeah.
And then who would be?
Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, I mean, who would be then deciding what was practical and what wasn't practical? This is. I mean, how many governing bodies has karate tried to set up on its own and failed fucking miserably?
Well, yes, because there are numerous things going on there, but basically because everybody's definition of what karate should be is, well, it should be what we do. And everybody else who's doing something that isn't that is doing it wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you see that all the time, don't you?
Basically, you end up doing what we do. And you say, well, I run my own club or clubs, I run my own group. So I'm a governing body in as much as my decision defines this, because it's all about this is my karate and how I do it. And there isn't any agreement from anybody else about saying, well, yeah, we think exactly what you think and this is how it should be. And if you look at just narrowing it down to the practical side of karate, I've seen so many different approaches and so many different notions on what practical karate is, and it's 90% of them aren't what I think it is. That doesn't mean that they're doing it wrong. It just means that what I'm doing isn't what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't fit into the majority governing body, so I just wouldn't be doing it. And if what I thought dominated, then 90% of the people doing it now would go off and form their own governing body for something different.
So one of the things that could be good for a governing body, people say, would be standardization of the black belt, which is what we were talking about the other short. Although then you've got to get someone to agree what that standardization would be. And I mean, we're just talking about the practical karate side. What about if you bring in the sports karate side? And you're like, where do you put this level? And
yeah, what version of sport karate?
I was going to say, yeah, there's as broad as practical karate is, the sports side is even broader, isn't it? So, you know, you've got your Olympic WKF type stuff, and then you've got your show whip on type stuff, and your Kyokushin. You know, there's so many different types of the sport.
Karate combat is the new one. Isn't
it? Yeah.
And the thing is, I suppose that I mean, we were talking earlier, weren't we? In music, you've got a standard. A grade 8 in an instrument, it's a grade 8 in an instrument pretty much wherever you go. I think there are 2 governing bodies in music. I'm right. I think that you can get certificates from, or you can take exams with. But I mean, that's 2. We've got
using that as an example, though. Straight away, you're at that. Yes, I am a grade 8. Taking my son as an example, to say grade 8 double bass player. That does not mean I'm an expert pianist.
No.
So maybe you have grade 8, but it doesn't mean it's like, well, I'm a 10th Dan in what? In this one specific thing. So yeah.
I mean, I suppose the other bonuses to having a governing body is you could, I'm just trying to think of things here. You would have sort of one, so you've got one licensing thing. They could make sure that everyone was first aid checked. You couldn't get insurance before you were first aid checked.
Well, that's, yeah.
You could get, everyone had to be, you know, checked for criminal past and stuff like that, and you could standardize stuff like that, which would probably be a good thing.
Well, this is where I think a governing body should fit in, is that it's not about the setting of standards. the governing body is about regulation for minimum requirements for somebody who wants to set up and be an instructor, rather than anybody off the street who fancies giving it a go.
Yeah.
So I
'Cause
think,
anyone
there
can,
are
can't
things
they?
outside of the
Yeah.
technical level and what the aims of the art are that should be regulated and governed.
Yeah, coaching qualifications and stuff like that. Yeah, safeguarding. Yeah,
Yes.
like you already mentioned, DBS. So those things you'd probably find. I don't have figures, but I'd say a majority of clubs wouldn't have. If you had a checklist, like say coaching qualification, DBS, you'd hope most are DBS checks. But you know, I know you've got stories about that, Bob.
Yeah.
So,
Let's not go there.
But yeah, so I think
first aid.
those
Yeah.
yeah, those are the things that could actually be improved with a one governing body. But
Yeah.
I don't think you'll get enough people around a table long enough to sit down and talk about it anyway. The only way it'd happen is if there was some government altering it. And to be fair, they've got enough shit that they can't deal with as it is. But I mean, Christ,
but
I sounding big on there.
That should be what Sport England are for, I believe. But the trouble is that because they don't understand what it is we do, because it is such a broad church and they can't pigeonhole it, they always end up getting in bed with one faction or another who, well, we are the governing body now, recognised by Sport England, and it all turns to shit again and falls apart in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas if you ignored this is what we do, and it's just about regulation for, as we say, the legal requirements of doing something, and the safeguarding and the insurance and all the other things that have nothing to do with the physical side of the art we're teaching, then that is where the regulation should come in.
Right, sorted. Good, done.
Can't argue with that.
Well, people will, but you can't.
Fuck 'em.
Yeah.